So in this video, we are going to talk about how a client of mine, Rose, actually landed a bookkeeping client that now pays $1,500 per month. And we are going to talk about the way how she actually structures her pricing, the way how she actually landed this client, but also some things that she's learned in the last 4 or 5 years of actually running her firm. She has invested thousands and tens of thousands of dollars in coaching programs about sales and marketing. I was actually pretty surprised with how many things she actually knew about sales, and she told a lot of like golden nuggets about things that can really help you to land more of those high revenue monthly clients. So just quickly, first I will introduce myself. My name is Daan. I'm the owner founder of Accounting Kings, where we help accountants to get more high revenue tax and accounting clients. And we actually helped Rose to get a $1,500 per month bookkeeping client, her biggest client yet. And in this interview, I'm just going to ask her questions about how she actually, what process she followed to actually land this client, so that you can implement this in your own firm and hopefully, make some money from it. So without further ado, let's get into the interview right now. Okay, so we are back with another client interview, this time with Rose. We helped her to mainly focus on getting more bookkeeping clients. So yeah, Rose, can you maybe introduce yourself and your business?
Sure. My name is Rose Linder. I own and founded Dorota Accounting LLC in Illinois, Wisconsin. We started in Wisconsin. I live in Illinois now, but that's a big story. And basically, I just been doing accounting for over 20 years, and I figured out that I just don't work well for others, for other companies and things like that. We just celebrated 5 years, and so I'm really excited about that. And so we're really working on increasing our offering for our clients.
Yeah, awesome. So actually, a lot of our clients and the accountants I talk to, they really want to work for themselves. What was the main reason that you wanted to take matters in your own hands and start your own firm?
Again, kind of a long story, but I was pregnant. I had a toddler. My husband was getting ready to go on deployment. And so it was just kind of like, I'm not going to be able to afford daycare and working, because other people also don't want to pay you what you're worth, which is pretty frustrating. So I just like, hey, I'm going to start my own firm. I started it while I was pregnant, and then the pandemic happened right after my husband left on deployment. I had a baby and a toddler at home, and everything was shut down all the time. So it actually kind of worked out.
Okay. So what were the main things that you did before we work with each other to get more clients for your firm?
I've done everything. I've hired outside consultants. I've tried to do it myself. I've tried to, pay for training programs to learn how to do it myself. I've done everything. It's I don't even know how to describe how many tens of thousands of dollars I've probably spilled into trying to use advertising and things like that to get more clients.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, and it's something a lot of accountants struggle with, because if you don't really know how to create good sales and marketing processes for your firm, it's also hard to actually find someone and know that they actually know what they are doing. So I'm also wondering, we've been working with each other since October 24. What were the main things that you've learned in that whole process that you didn't learn with working with the other companies?
I don't know that I learned anything new, but I did, I find that this process is the one that's the easiest for me. I don't have to worry about being consistent. I don't have to worry about following up. I don't have to worry about, trying to book the meetings. Like, you guys do all of that, and it's a decent price. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. So the main reasons why accountants actually work with us, because they either don't have the time or the expertise to do it themselves. When with you, it's probably more of the time ex aspect.
It's probably more of the expertise aspect. I am just not good with marketing. I'm just not. And that's okay, right? Because we can't all be good at the same things. Life would be really boring.
Yeah.
So I always encourage my clients, like, if you're spending hours and hours doing your bookkeeping, right, for example, and you charge $125 an hour for haircuts, why are you doing your own bookkeeping? That makes no sense. You could be making more money and paying me, whatever, 2 hours or whatever it is, for them, depending on what they're doing. And then you don't have to worry about fighting with it for 6 hours. Like, that's a win-win. Everybody should be doing that with everything in their business, honestly.
Of course, of course. And what does your current sales process look like? Because you told me that you sold a 1,500 per month bookkeeping client, someone through our system. What was the process that you followed with this now current client?
It's the same one I've always followed. So usually we have, you guys book phone calls. I used to do Zoom meetings where I would record them, um, just so that I could go back and look at it and things like that. Phone calls are fine. Obviously, we use the CRM with you to do the initial phone call, and just, and in the sales script is the same thing that I've always learned, and my conversion rate is much higher than the average person's. Once I get them on the phone and they're actually interested, the conversion rate for me is much higher. So the first thing that we always do is, obviously we spend a couple minutes learning about each other. Then we talk about what they need. We tie in our services to what they need. And then we circle back and, explain to them how we can solve their problem. I don't explain to them how I do that. I just explain how I solve, that I can solve their problem. And then I book a follow-up meeting within 2 days or so I can put a pricing proposal together. And then I do a Zoom call with them and I share that with them on the Zoom call. You never just send that to a client in an email or a potential client. You always go over each package because I do a good, better, best kind of a deal. I do premium, platinum, or basic, premium, platinum are my three service tiers. And obviously you want them to sign on to the best. So you make that major pain point, you put that in the best package. So for some clients, that's the monthly meeting. They want to meet with me every month for 30 minutes and go over anything I see, any metrics I'm looking at, any odd things that maybe they could be saving on, that kind of stuff. So when you highlight that pain point and you add that into the platinum pricing, like, of course they're going to go for that. They're like, yeah, okay, management reports are great and all that, but I really want that monthly meeting or
Yeah.
whatever their pain point is, right? So if their previous accountant didn't communicate with them, maybe the unlimited communication package is what you want to add into their best package so that they're incentivized to buy the best package. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. So it's clear that you already had some form of a sales process in place before you worked with us, and it was more that you needed to get more of those appointments in your
Mhm.
calendar. In terms of pricing, because you said that this current client was or is the biggest client yet. How do you typically go about the pricing? I know you have the spreadsheet, which we are not able to give it away yet. But how did you go about pricing and the whole reason you did send the quote that you sent?
Mhm. So my pricing worksheets have a list of services in there. So bookkeeping packages like done for you 1 through 6, and they're based on how many bank accounts they have. And there's another metric there, like how many transactions per month, right? So packages 1 through 6 each have different amounts of bank accounts and transactions. So you kind of know how much time a 2 bank account client's going to take you versus a 6 bank account a client's going to take you. So that's obviously like the meat of the bookkeeping package. That's the basic. Then unlimited communication is just emails and I use a CRM called Keeper. Keeper.app. If you don't use it and you're an accountant, you're leaving money on the table. It's an amazing program. I love it. But I go in there every day and I answer questions and I respond to client concerns or requests or things like that. So there's a 24 to 48 hour business hour turnaround on that. And then that's kind of like the very basic package, right? So like we're going to do your books and we're going to answer your questions. Boom. That's like 99% of what everybody needs, right? So then a lot of times when you're looking for a new bookkeeper, it's because either the old one didn't communicate, the old one did not get reports out, the old one didn't explain metrics, the old one didn't do whatever it is, right? So then you build out based on that. So I also will add in like end of year package stuff because most people don't want to pay for like issuing 1099s and all of these things at the end of the year, working with a tax firm or whatever it is, getting reports ready and all that kind of stuff. Um, they don't want to pay for that in January, right? They want that to be spaced out throughout the year. So I will usually add that into a monthly bookkeeping fee, and then it's all covered. And it's nice that way. I think that's about it. But I mean, I have a whole list of services that I do, and so then I just put together packages. I use like little drop down menus, and it automatically adds everything up for me. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just spend some time to create a spreadsheet, get familiar with it, and then with every single client, you can actually use it. And did you also, when you actually did pitch the service with the pricing in the second meeting, did you have any objections by the client?
No. They just because they are like a three company kind of a deal. They were they spent some time talking about the service level for the third company, which is the smallest one. It only has two accounts, like two bank accounts. But the other two, they were like platinum, platinum. We need the monthly meetings, so that was a done deal. With the third one, it's much more of a startup, so they were kind of more going towards either the basic or the premium, which is fine, you know. And then I offered them a bulk discount. So they get a discount for having all three accounts with me. If they only have two, it's a smaller discount. And if it's only one, they get none. So it was a pretty easy process for me. I really liked it a lot because a lot of times we know that the bulk of our time is switching tasks, right? So that's where you're losing the bulk of your time when you're doing accounting work. With this client, it's like boom, 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 boom. Okay, all three accounts are done. I'm charging for all three accounts. And it's less than switching to a whole other company, right? Which
Yeah.
may have a different focus. It might have a different way of doing things. It might have a different communication style the client might. So switching accounts is what takes the longest when you're doing accounting work.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was the biggest thing that you actually liked working with Accounting Kings?
I loved how easy it is. I don't have to, like, I obviously I check the dashboard and stuff, but other than that, like, I'm not concerned about them following up and phone calls and the text messages going out. Like I'm terrible. I'm terrible, terrible with consistent follow up, which is what you need. You need that persistence in sales. And my schedule is very chaotic because I do have two young kids. I am the primary parent. So if one of them's sick, I got to drop everything and go get them. If one of them is hurt, I have to take them to the doctor. If one, you know what I mean? Like, so my schedule can get very chaotic very quickly. And so it was nice to just not have to worry about being consistent with that and to know that the consistency was still there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I knew because I know that produces results is the consistency. So I was really grateful for that.
Awesome. And that's something that's just, I think maybe actually with business owners in general, but also just accountants. Like if you are starting, maybe you have a job on the side, and then of course you have two things that you need to do with family. Then if you are in the growing phase, you are maybe a little over capacity, you need to work a little more. But we also have clients that are doing a couple million per year, and they are also at a phase where they need to create even more processes. So it's always just chaos, and having an automated system is something, of course, that really helps with that. Even like a process for a process for a process is
Yeah.
something that's very valuable. And so it sounded like it was a pretty easy sale for you with the 1,500 per month. What do you think was one or like two of the biggest mistakes you've made before you were actually able to sell those packages?
I wouldn't shut up. Let's start there. Right. So when you're in sales, you're trying to convince this person to work with you and that you can help them.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to let them sit in it. You have to let them, hey, you really need these monthly meetings because XYZ ABC, right? Whatever the reason is that they told you that they needed that service that you put in there as the premium service. You have to be like, hey, so this premium package is the only one, or the platinum package is the only one that includes this. I know you said it because of this. And then you have to just stop talking and let them sit in it for a minute because and then after 30 seconds or something be like, hey, so which package would you like to go with today? And then just stop talking again and just let them, and sometimes they'll even start talking. They'll start talking out loud and going through the process of the decision that they're making, which for me, whatever they choose, I'm happy with because my pricing is based on the time that it's going to take me to do stuff, and I'm happy with whatever package that they choose. Obviously I want them to choose the platinum because for me it also includes, monthly meetings are like CFO work, which is billed out at a higher rate.
Yeah.
But you know, if they don't choose it, that's okay. They can always upgrade later. And we've talked about that with the startup one, the third company that's a little smaller. She was like, we can upgrade later. I'm like, oh yeah, you can absolutely upgrade later. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
So definitely shutting up is really hard when you're trying to convince somebody that you can help them and you can help them because you want to help. And then sometimes people will tell you what their pain point is, but it's not their pain point, right? They're skimming surface stuff. And in a sales call, you have to really be diligent about, hey, okay, so you really telling me you need these monthly meetings? What would you talk about in these monthly meetings? How would this change your business? Let them get really deep into it, because sometimes you discover that they don't really need, they need the monthly meetings, right? But what they really need is standard reports on time that make sense, and somebody to go over that with them. And again, it's a great selling point
Yeah.
to be able to go back to that and be like, hey, so I included your monthly reports in the premium package as well as the platinum package. If you just want those go out like clockwork. They're due the 9th of every month or whatever it is that we have decided for that client, depending on their complexity and our workload. So again, it's shutting up, and then it's getting to the actual pain point can sometimes be really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially with the silence, the main reason why you want to also be silent is people also need to think about what you said, process everything. And if they cannot come up with any questions, then and there's still some uncertainty in their brain in the whole thing that you offer to them, they're never going to move forward with you, because people don't move forward if they're not certain that that is the right investment for you to do. And if you keep talking, they can actually not really process and think this is the right thing. And even if they have questions, then they cannot come up with the questions if you keep talking. And then if you don't answer those questions, there's no certainty, so they will not move forward. And also with like going a little level deeper into why do they want the services that they want, especially if you are the expert, which as the accountant you are, then exactly you can discover new things that they need, but also reasons why they need it, which of course then is positioning your service in a better way, because all of a sudden you don't just help them to actually grow their business and make more money, but all of a sudden you actually help them to send their kids to college, to maybe retire a couple of years earlier. So no, that was definitely were a couple of helpful things, and I hope the people looking at this interview also just take the information. So yeah, I know that you are very busy business, but also family woman. So my last question then is, would you recommend other accountants to try working with accounting kits?
I would definitely. The initial investment is minimal, and the results have been really good for how much we've done so far. So I'm excited to completely hone in on what we've been working on so that we can then increase the budget and start getting a lot of leads in. It's going to be exciting.
Awesome, it is, and no, thanks for that. And it's also just the case that there's also always a warm-up phase, like data gathering, which is always kind of hard. Like I know that it works, but also for the accountant, they just have to, of course, share the trust that I know that they know what I'm doing. So no, I appreciate that, and I want to thank you for taking the time to have this interview.
I want to say I've worked with other, other advertising firms where I spent thousands of dollars on advertising, right? Their fee was separate from the advertising, thousands and thousands of dollars and no results. So I want to thank you for getting at least some. I've already gotten my money back. Let's just say it that way, off of what the 2 clients that I've landed. So definitely worth the investment. And then, give it 4 to 6 months. I would say any new client, give it 4 to 6 months. You got to have like a 2 to 3 month warming up period. I know that's really frustrating because you're like, I'm ready to go, but you got to give it the time, because there's 2 ways you can do it. You can throw a whole bunch of money at it and try to ramp up quickly, or you can do kind of what you've been doing, which is the slow burn. You go incrementally slower, but at least you're spending a lot less, even though it does take a little bit more time.
Awesome. Yeah, no, you said a lot of things actually are very valuable. So no, thanks again, and I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
the future. So I hope you learned a lot of things about the interview. I hope you are actually going to implement a lot of those things too. Because I know for sure if you don't have a set sales or marketing process yet, and you just implement a couple of things that can probably be the bottleneck of your sales and marketing processes, it can literally change everything about the growth of your firm. So if you are an accounting firm owner, you want to get more clients, you want to get more of those higher revenue tax and or accounting clients, but you don't really know how, or you don't have the time to do this all yourself, there's a link in the bio. You can click on it where you can just take a look at what it actually is that I do. This is a video that will explain a bit more. You can also schedule a call if you want, but you don't have to. I create these videos for free because I just want you to succeed, and I want you to actually help more business owners. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching the video. If you liked it, leave a like so that the algorithm is going to serve you more helpful videos like this. If you have specific questions, leave it in the comments. Subscribe so that you don't miss any other helpful videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.